we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means, on infiltration instead of invasion, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. There is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it.
Well, all right, welcome to episode 78 of the Abuse Hour. It is I, your host, Coffee Long, coming to you unsupervised, unmedicated, and an unchecked threat to society. Good Lord Almighty. So, man, I don't even want to try to guess. I want to say it's been like a month and change since I put something out. And I'll tell you what, man, I always loathed when somebody would be like, yeah, dude, I'm generating episodes, I'm generating content, it's going to be a show up in here, it's going to be a party, ooh, come on, sign up, give me some shekels, whatever, and then you don't ever hear nothing from them again, man, and I didn't ever want to, put out something like that, but I'll tell you what, man, this last month has been an absolute gut check, dude. It has been a kick in the balls. So I won't go into too many doxable details and shit, but I'll tell you this, man, in 5 days, I've been in 12 states, and I'll give you a brief rundown. And then I'll kind of wrap up with the takeaway, my big takeaway from this month of woe. So, to kick this thing off, man, I was, my brother hits me up and he tells me that my dad's in the hospital again, and this guy is like the indestructible idiot. This guy, like, the guy does not take care of himself at all. He's had over 10 cardiac procedures, including open heart, and he just does not die. Like, one, he will not die, and two, he will not start doing anything different. Like, this guy will eat burgers, this guy will sit on his ass, this guy will watch TV and eat an entire thing of ice cream, does not give a fuck, does what he wants, gets down, on his own program, and just does not die. But so I hear this guy's in the hospital again. Normally it would be like, you hear somebody's in the hospital with a heart issue, you're like, holy shit, oh man, what's going on, you okay, can I get you something? With this guy, it's like, again, huh, okay, and then that's really it. But it gets weirder. It gets weirder from there. So this guy is, he's old. I mean, I'm 1,000 years old, obviously, so this guy's older than me. But this guy is, he's retired. He's got, his retirement from the job that he retired from. He's got military disability, 100%, because he was in Nam, Agent Orange, man. This kind of thing. So he's got money coming in, this guy, but somehow he's got no money. My brother finds this shit out, tells me, he's like, he's like, you want to get pissed? Like, I'll tell you something. You think I get mad? You think Coffee gets mad? Get a load of Coffee's brother, right? This guy goes off the fucking rails, and it's pretty funny, honestly. I like spinning him up. But he calls me and he's like, hey, you want to get mad? I was like, I guess, yeah, what's going on now? So he starts telling me that, like, yeah, the folks, they got no fucking money saved. They got no goddamn money. How do you have no money? And I'm like, I don't know. How do they have no money? And so now he tells me this other story that, like, yeah, this cousin of ours is he lives out in the sticks, out in the middle of nowhere, out in meth land, and hits this guy up, asking about, hey, can I borrow some money to buy a house? I want to buy a house. Well, how much do you need? I need to borrow 20 grand to buy a house. And he's like, I don't have 20 grand. All I have in savings is 15 grand. That's all money I have. She's like, can I borrow it? And he says, okay. So I dig this shit, dude. Like, first I listened to this and I'm like, okay, like, on what planet, like, you're doing a 30-year mortgage kind of a thing. On what planet is, like, 15 grand the make or break on you getting this fucking house? All right? Like, that doesn't make any sense at all. And I'm like, you understand, like, if this chick is hard up enough that she can't get this house without your 15 grand, They had all the little costs associated with picking a place up and like turning things on and getting things situated, stuff you got to get. You ain't ever seeing this 15 grand again, friend. You understand that, right? And I finally talked to him about this, after he got out of the hospital, and he's like, no, man, she's good people, man. She would never do that. She would never, you're worried about nothing, man. I say, okay, smart guy. I said, okay, listen, I'm going to tell you this. I said, when you start talking to her about this situation of how you're going to pay this back, when you're going to get me this money, the first time, before this ever comes up, if you hear some kind of an extraordinary emergency about some cost that, oh my goodness gracious, something came up that it wasn't expected and now it's going to take a little time, I hope you understand. First time you hear that, you got to understand you're not going to see any of this money again, all right? Oh yeah, no, that would never happen. So sure as shit, now in the last week, the guy just sends the money out the door. And not a couple days later is like, he gets this call. He's like, well, I don't know, you might be right. I don't know. We'll have to see. But, she just had some car trouble. But, I knew she had some car trouble because, I tell her you got to maintain your vehicles, and she had to get some work done. So, hey, but I think it's probably going to be okay. So, yeah, it ain't going to be okay, man. If this comes up, something else is going to come up. You ain't seeing that money again. So, to kick off my week, man, kicking my week off was yeah, your parents, old and dumb, now have no savings and just got scammed. Coming out of the hospital and getting scammed by your own family. What the hell? So that was a good start. I had to fly out to, I flew out to parts unknown for a gig with some clients, walked around the woods, and that was actually not too bad, man. And this particular client, they have this staff psychologist that was supposed to come with, and it's this Hebrew woman that I had the terrific misfortune of doing a Zoom call with at one time. And this chick, I never met her before. She don't know anything about me. Obviously, she doesn't know me as, Mr. Long. But she gets on the phone. First thing she says is oh, we just got back from Spain. I took my kids to a soccer camp. You wouldn't believe how anti-Semitic the Spanish are. It's really something, and my kid, he was a little bit shook. And yeah, okay, yeah, I'm sure it's, got nothing to do with any of that Gates of Toledo type situation or just kind of the long-standing history you people have on that particular peninsula. But yeah, so she was supposed to show up out there, and I was really thankful, man. She didn't show up. She got, whatever. She got that Irish flu at the last second or something. I just suddenly don't feel good. I can't make it. Oh, God, I might have to be outdoors, and I don't want to do that. But got out there, and all the rest of the people, part of this client organization are like, oh, she's not here? Oh, that's even better. That's the best part of this trip. It's oh, it's not just me. But I seriously doubt any of those people had ever put two and two together, at least not yet, dude, because it is kind of a boomer-heavy organization, and the way they resist, man, these boomers. Anyway, so I left that gig. Here it gets better now. So that was the first half of the gig, and it was a ball break, but it wasn't as hectic as I, figured it might be. But I left that gig, and I get on a major airline carrier that I don't actually use that often. Kind of not one of the big three, not an American or a United or a Delta, but I get on a smaller but still well-known airline. And sure enough, these idiots lose my luggage, and I'm like, what the hell? Now look, man, I've had luggage lost before, and I understand it. Millions of people moving day in, day out. Things are going to get lost, things are going to get misplaced. These things happen, right? But the deal with lost luggage, man, is, and I'll tell you this here, I'll give you a couple hot tips, is one, if your stuff doesn't come out, if you got a big bag, sometimes it'll go to oversized luggage. Even if it's not big, I mean, they're not hiring first world geniuses back there. Nobody's quitting their gig at NASA to fucking hustle luggage, right? So if your bag don't come out, if it's a good sized bag, sometimes it'll go to oversized. So you just gotta all right, man, you go to the baggage thing. Hey, my bag didn't show up. It might have gone to oversized. Where's oversized? It's over there. Okay, you go look. If it ain't there, now your bags didn't show up. So the major carriers, they'll have it on their app. Where the hell's my bag? Because it gets scanned everywhere it goes. And it'll say, like, your bag just got loaded onto flight, whatever, or your bag just showed up at whatever, right? So if it doesn't come out and you ain't got anything on the app, you just walk into the luggage office and you say, like, hey, man, my bag didn't come out. All right. Now, what'll usually happen, and this is the dodgy thing, and I had seen some of this, like, on, I think there was an Instagram account where there's, like, this girl that talks about, does little, like, fake skits where it's just her talking to herself, about what happens at airports in X, Y, and Z situation. And, dude, for once, like, real life was exactly like the meme, man. And the deal here is you got to know, like, when you walk into, like, the missing baggage thing, like, they will not tell you shit. Like, they will not tell you about anything you're entitled to or what they could fucking owe you. All right? But when you go in there, like, these motherfuckers owe you luggage, man. Like, I trusted you to get my luggage from there to here, and it ain't here. So somebody needs to get this, straightened out. So they'll take your name, take your number, they'll get the bag tag number. Dude, do yourself a favor. Don't throw away the bag tag. Hang on to that shit. The little receipt they give you when you check a bag, right? Hang on to that. You're going to want that. They'll take the bag tag number. And now the deal is, man, like, this business, they'll ask you, like, well, are you visiting or returning? So, like, are you coming home? Like, can I kind of take my time on this? Or are you visiting? Dude, always say you're visiting. They don't know what the fuck you're doing. All right? So, yeah, man, I'm visiting. Hurry up and find my shit. Oh, okay. So now they got to go find this shit. But once they find it, when they find it, they got to bring it to you. So they'll try this shit of, like, oh, yeah, it just got delayed. It'll be on the next flight, and that one lands in, 3 hours, and it'll be on that carousel right there. Well, good for fucking you, man. When it comes out on that carousel right there, you or one of your little third world friends get out here, hustle my fucking bag, and you drive it to wherever I am. All right, that's the deal. They got to fucking do that. If they fucked your baggage up, they got to deliver it to you. So the other half of this is that if you're, like, on a work gig, that they got to compensate you. I can't remember how long the delay is. I want to say it's like 3 hours or more, something like that. Like, each one I think is a little different, but it'll say in the fine print. But you could just ask them now. Like, hey, now I got shit I need in there for work. What am I supposed to do? And now you ask them, right? Now you ask them, are you going to reimburse me for my necessaries, things that I need? Oh, yeah, we'll do that. And then they'll send you an email link. So, like, if you got work clothes in there, right? Like, you got a set of boots in there, whatever you need in there, your tools in there, whatever, and you're flying this shit. All right, you say, hey, I'm here for work, man. And you lost my stuff. I got to go get new stuff so I can do this job. Oh, wow, geez, okay, in that case, here, now I'll email you this link. So now you go buy whatever you need to buy, you email them the receipts, and they send you the money, all right? Now, I don't know how particular they are, like, how they're going to manage to know if you're hustling them a little bit, right? It's not like they're going to inventory your bag. What I can tell you is that 99% of the time, like, your electronic stuff, they're always going to say, like, yeah, no, dude, we don't cover electronic stuff. So I would say all the time, either do that through the carry-on or have your stuff insured. Like, if you got Apple products, how you can insure that stuff because it's ridiculously expensive. Just either carry it on or you have the insurance, then you're good to go. So other than that, then I think the ceiling on it is like $3,800. So if they do completely lose your stuff, then they're on the hook for up to $3,800 worth of stuff. And in that instance, I mean, I ain't saying lie, but I'm also saying make sure you go through everything you had in that bag. Because, even if you remember wrong a little bit, like, hey, did I have that $300 set of Jordache jeans in there? I can't remember. I'm sure I probably did. I don't see them on my shelf. And it's not like they can check. They lost your fucking bag, right? So what are you going to do? You're going to pay for my new Jordache jeans. That's what you're going to do. Me and Brooke Shields, we're going to hang out wearing these Jordache jeans, red hot. But so these clowns lose my bag, right? So I go in there and I'm like, hey, man, you lost my bag. Oh, okay, it'll probably come in later. I'm like, oh, gee, brilliant observation. Here's my name, here's my number, here's my email. You call me, and here's where I'm going to be. You deliver it. Dig? And then they're like, oh, okay, all right, I guess you know how this game works. Yeah, I know how this game works. So I wait a day, I don't hear nothing. I call customer service the next day. Oh, yeah, we don't have any news on that yet. Okay, well, I call the next day. Where's my bag? Oh, yeah, we don't have any news on that yet. okay, well, see, like I'm not getting any progress here. So I call again the next day. Now it's been like 4 days since my bag went a-missing. And I call and I shit you not, I get this guy on the phone, fancy Dan as hell. And he's like, hi, this is Ryden. Can I help you? I'm like, what the fuck? And I say, all right, look, Ryden. I said, you guys lost a bag and I've waited for you to get in touch with me. You obviously haven't, so I'm going to have to start following up and getting into the details with this. How do you spell your name? Ryden, Ryden. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure that's your real name. I didn't say this to him, but obviously, you're a fancy Dan with an unhealthy habit, but we'll put that aside for now. So I said, all right, here's the deal, man. I've called you guys 3 times already now, and you're obviously shining me on, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to give you to the end of business today to find my bag. If I don't hear back that you got this thing and it's on the way, then I call corporate, and if they can't solve my problem, I put a complaint in with Department of Transportation. Oh, okay. And then sure enough, like 6 hours later, yes, sir, your bag's going to be delivered within an hour. And I was like, there it is. There's like the magic bullet. Like, they can do it. It's just a question of, maybe this bag looks like it's got some good stuff in it. I set it aside. Maybe you don't ever really call about it. Maybe, it just doesn't come up, and now I got your bag and you don't. But it didn't really matter, because when I got home off of that trip, I had to get right back in the car. And I don't know if you remember, a good few episodes back now, I talked about a guy I know that's got some pretty serious health issues and was looking to relocate to be out near some family back out on the West Coast. So I had a few days, finishing up this last gig, and I said, dude, I'll drive you out there. So I got a rental car. The dude had some shekels that had been donated, and I said, yeah, all right, man, let's rent this car. Let's drive out here. So we take off, man. So we're going to do this straight cannonball run type of a thing. And it was a real trip doing this coast-to-coast deal. And there's a few things that I noticed going coast to coast. I mean, I was in the car mostly, so I didn't really take a lot of time to hang out and, meet the people or nothing. It was really pretty much just a straight drive. But they've got this thing going now, and like you'd see it, once in a while. Because, dude, in the last 5 years, I've done 4 coast-to-coast drives, and it ain't because I dig it. It kind of sucks, man. It was just kind of the way things worked out. And, actually, it reminds me, I had heard before that, like, serial killers enjoy long drives. Like, they enjoy road trips. And, I mean, I'm sure there are people that aren't serial killers that enjoy road trips. But, me, I don't dig that long drive type shit. And I'm in the middle of wrapping up that drive now, but we'll come to that in due course. But yeah, I heard that some people dig that. Me, I don't dig it. It's a real pain in the ass. But one of the things that I noticed, though, as you're driving along, is there's this thing that they got out there now, and it's coast to coast. I've seen it everywhere, and it's really not that cool. But here's how it goes. As you're driving along, and you'll see, like, road work, next mile, road work zone begins, 1,000 feet, whatever. And you're driving, and then you'll see another sign that says, traffic fines double in construction zone. And you're like, what the fuck? And you keep driving, and there's nothing. There's nothing, man. Maybe sometimes there'd be like a few cones. I think there was like one time while we were cruising that I did actually see construction happening. There's road work being done. But there were so many times you just cruise and you see traffic fines double in, construction zone. Or even better, my favorite was safety corridor. Fines double in safety corridor. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Safety corridor. And all it really is like, yeah, we set out a few road cones and we're going to stage a cop out here someplace. And if we pinch you, then you get to pay double. Like, why do I get to pay double? Like, why are you fucking with me at all, But that's just something that's out there now, man. Like, it's not enough to shake people down the way that they do. Now we're going to set up little, like, Monopoly booby traps on, like, go directly to jail, ha ha ha, type shit. But apart from that, man, oh, Jesus, yeah, I drove 4 days, dude. 4 days, coast to coast. Don't recommend it. And I remember hearing about, or actually, there's actually a video. There's a video out there on the Cannonball Run, which, as it happens, is not just a shitty Burt Reynolds movie. It's actually a thing that I don't know if they do it anymore. I gotta look it up and see if Cannonball Run is still a thing. But it's this deal where you start in New York, and then I don't know what it is. You take a ticket somewhere, like leaving a parking lot or some kind of a thing, and you take off. And the deal is that you pull into this other parking lot in Los Angeles, and then whoever's the fastest on that run, then you win or whatever. And I had seen this video, and I can't remember where it was, dude. I want to say maybe it was like Netflix or something. I have no idea now. But there was this video that got put out where these guys documented their little Cannonball Run deal, and it was like past the statute of limitations, where like they videoed this whole thing and got the whole thing all edited and put together, but then they didn't put it out until like way after statute of limitations had passed. So it could be like, hey, check it out, we did this. Like, you can't do shit about it now, but here's what we did. And these dudes had done all this cool shit. Like, they had put in this extra large gas tank in this car. I don't remember what kind of car it was, but they put this extra large gas tank in here, and they had hired like private pilots and whatnot to like fly ahead on the route they were going to be on, to like fly ahead and look for cops and then radio back. And I don't know how they worked the radio situation, like if they had somebody relaying or if they, I don't know exactly what they did or how they had it planned out, but it was pretty cool though, man. I think that would be a good time to try that. But it was like a pair of dudes, so I don't know if it was like, did you guys trade out and did somebody sleep while the other dude was awake, or how'd you do that? I mean, it would be cool to not, well, I'll say it would be cool to have done something like that. But just now finishing up a coast-to-coast trip, I'll tell you that to be actively doing it would probably not be that fun at all. I think I would actually take quite the hardest passed. Amazingly hard passed. No one passes harder than coffee on this bullshit coast-to-coast drive. But anyway, moving along from that, man, I'm on the last leg of this thing. I have dropped off the dude, and that actually yielded a couple of interesting life lessons that we can hit on for the episodic admonition of Coffee Says Do This Shit. But we'll get to that. I'll get to that at the end, man. But that's by means of explaining the shit I've had going on and why I've been unreasonably absent and tardy these last 4 weeks. That's where I've been. That's what I've been doing. So, in any case, some of the stuff going on out there, man, there's been so much that I have missed out on, and I had made little notes someplace that I don't have with me now that like, yeah, man, I got to remember to tell people about this, that, and the other thing. So much wacky stuff going on. One thing that I did see this morning that absolutely murdered me was, there's like the long-running joke of people talking about, yeah, man, Joe Biden, like, standing there shitting his pants in public. But they're saying it, people say this shit as though it's like hyperbole, like it's not actually happening. But I will tell you something, man. I saw a video this morning where there's him and Macron, and I will eat my hat if that guy did not shit his pants. Holy hell, he's standing there with Macron, the famous lover of the African continent, that dirty little anal enthusiast with his fake-ass, beard-ass wife. But he's standing there with Macron, and he leans over like he's listening to Dr. Jill, like he's listening to her saying something to him, but then he's not leaning over. He's actually like, and he's like scrunching down a little bit, and he's like, and he's like leaning forward a little bit. And if you got kids, man, like anybody that's got kids, like you recognize this, you see this, and you're like, holy hell, that guy just shit his pants. and you see like the look on this woman's face, and she's like, oh, and snatches the guy up, and he shuffles off, shuffles away, backstage. We got to get this guy changed. But it's absolute madness, and I would say on one hand, like, you want to say, like, do you people really think you're fooling anybody? And I'd have to say, like, no, I don't think that they think that they are fooling anyone. I think they know. They know that you know. And we know that they know that you know. And I'm the dude playing the dude disguised as a dude who shits his pants. And I think they know that everybody sees this guy. They see what he's fucking doing. But I think it's that abuse, man. It's that ritual of abuse. Where, like, yeah, we could have, like, a really well-spoken, well-coiffed, I don't know, what's that idiot's name? Gavin Newsom, right? You could have that guy up there. The guy looks like he's here to give you something in exchange for your soul. Yeah, just sign right here, pal. I'm going to get you everything you want. All your dreams come true. Like, he's going to hook you right up. Right? But no, we could do that, but we're not doing that. Instead, we're putting this guy out there. He's dawdling. He's silly. He says things that don't make any fucking sense. He looks around the room. He shits his pants. He has to get carried everywhere. We're going to put him out there. And you're going to raise your little hand. You're going to say, yeah, there's my president. You're going to say it. You're going to do it. Do it. Say it. Okay. Just don't deplatform me. Well, that's where I think we are with this, man. And really, you look at this thing, dude. I was in the South, like the Southest South. Like, if you're in Virginia or the Carolinas or some kind of thing, and you think you're in the South, dude, I was in Banjo Land. I'm still a little scared. Like, there was a lot going on. It was like time travel. And I was there, bro. I was there in the shit with the grunts. And the level of enthusiasm for this Trump, dude, among these normies, the level of enthusiasm is maddening. And I talked to a few people, and I've said, like, dude, I think Donald Trump is going to be the shoe-in. I honestly do. And I know there's the thing of, like, man, you can't attribute everything, to the triple parentheses them. You can't say they've got everything under control. Like, no matter what you pick, you're like Coke or Pepsi, and like Pepsi's got a set of horns on it, and they're like, oh, you put those horns there because you want me to pick Coke, but then you put those horns there knowing that I would pick Coke, so I'm not going to pick Coke, I'm going to pick Pepsi, even though, because I know that you know that I know, and it starts to become like, never going in against a Sicilian while death is on the line and this kind of thing. So I know that, we know better than that to assume that they're all powerful and all knowing, but I mean, when it's only two idiots to choose from, and both of them suck more than Coke or Pepsi, I think we really are in a spot where it's like, okay, well, I think there's definitely an angle here, and that this guy is so bad, and I think they've probably gotten Trump ironed out, where they're like, all right, look, idiot, like, you forced your way into this club, we're going to read you into some things, here's how it's going to be, and you're going to play ball or fucking else. Because the guy definitely, they definitely hamstrung his ass the last time around with all the shit that guy talked about. Oh, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and the other thing, and the other thing. Like, what did he really actually do? Kick down more money to Israel and move the embassy to Jerusalem. Like, well, that's really all you accomplished. There's really only one demographic that got anything out of this guy being president. But I think there's that Finkel thing, there's that, whatever you want to call it, reverse script motivation kind of a thing where, like, these people hate Joe Biden so bad that you could put literally anybody over there, right? You could put the magic 8-ball over there, and they're like, I'll take the 8-ball, right? Because at least you got a good fighting chance with the 8-ball. Should we send more money to Ukraine? Shake, shake, shake. Sources say no. All right, good. Finally, a win, right? But instead of that, they're going to put Trump out there, and I think he's going to be the easy shoo-in. And to me, the obvious answer is just that they haven't pulled this guy off the stage yet, right? The big hook has not come out and said, like, yeah, look, man, the guy shits his pants in public. We can't have this. I mean, this is silly, right? I mean, I know there's not a real deep bench on the Democratic side. I mean, it's really a lot of people that can't find their own ass with two hands in a map. They got Michelle Obama's dick that they could probably run for president, and it would do better than Biden would do. I'll vote for the dick, right? But I think they're probably going to be content to, like, yeah, let's let the red team have another turn and we'll just keep making progress. Because, I mean, Trump is going to be, extremely pro-Israel. Whatever these people want, give it to them. We're going to resolve this issue. You're going to be amazed how quickly this issue is resolved. So quickly. This issue is going to be simple for me. It's very simple. The easiest issue. So I think that's just how it's going to be. And Yeah, it would really be a barrel of laughs to see Biden in there for another term, because I mean, at least it would get this shit circus off the rails and into the weeds, and maybe we put it all back together, or don't, whatever. And, at least we kind of all know where we stand. But as it is, we're going to have this illusion of stability where BlackRock makes a fuck ton more money. The bread and milk you buy at the store costs just a little bit more, and, the whole thing continues to deteriorate, and we all scratch our heads and wonder exactly why it has to be this way. Why does it? Oh, you know why. You fucking know why. But speaking of bad things getting worse, and I don't know the complete veracity of this, and I haven't seen anything further about it, and honestly, I can't remember the guy's proper name. I can't remember his Christian name, but the dude that got pinched in UK for putting up stickers, I saw an article that this dude was now essentially forbidden from seeing his kids, and that his kids were not even, the kids' mother was not permitted to talk to his kids about him. Not permitted to mention your dad. He's persona non grata. Real Soviet hours. You can't talk about dad. They're not going to hear about dad. Dad's not going to be around to see you. Dad is PNG. He's off the books. And why? Because he was putting up Nazi stickers, and that's a detrimental influence on the youth. So, the Asian bunny ears, Asian rape gangs, that is what it is. Rapist, well, that's normal in Somalia, so let's just give the guy a good fighting chance. But stickers, damn you, stickers, this is where we have to draw the line. This is stickers we won't stand for, all right? So to me, when I hear something like that, dude, I gotta say to myself, when you put a man in a position where he's got nothing left to lose, literally nothing left to lose, what do you expect to happen? How do you think this ends? I could see resorting to some fairly extreme measures, in my own personal opinion. But then I also have to ask myself, I don't know, what measures are being undertaken. And I have to be straight here. If I've got a lawyer that says, well, now, we're going to appeal this. It's not going to stick. There's no way they can make this stick. We're going to just remain calm. Dude, fuck calm. If there's somebody with any level of authority that is able to say to you, hey, because you put up stickers, your kids are not allowed to hear your name. That to me is a deal breaker right there. Somebody's going to pay. The payment is going to be big. Here comes the check, motherfucker. I hope you got your wallet ready, because this one's going to hurt. So I don't know, man. I'm going to, when I'm done driving across, God's creation here, I'm going to stop and look further into that, and I want to see what I can see. Oh, there goes an asshole in a Lambo. Good God almighty. Can you imagine sitting in traffic? I'm sitting in fucking SoCal traffic doing 50-something right now and watching a guy in a Lambo trying to weave in and out and get here and there faster than everybody else. I got a Lambo. Gotta look out. I'm important. Don't you know who I am? No, I don't. Nobody does. Nobody cares. And yet, here we all are all. So moving along to more of the mundane, everyday, same shit still going on nonsense that's out there. The Russia and Israel situation, man. First, the Russia situation. This has been a fairly interesting deal of late, man. And I, again, honestly feel like everybody is doing their level best to get Russia to do something that will suck NATO, suck the U.S. into this thing. Last time I talked, there was some talk about France putting troops on the ground, and I don't know to what degree that has or hasn't been implemented yet. I know that France was talking about sending some trainers, some equipment and some trainers, and there was some debate as to how many trainers, what exactly they would be training on. But then some analysis that I had heard was that, a lot of this debate, where the U.S. is concerned, is a lot of kabuki theater insofar as, this stuff is all happening. This is just the way they slow roll it out to sort of get everybody used to the idea. And eventually there's going to be boots on the ground and obvious U.S. military equipment and involvement in this thing. So France is doing this. I want to say it was Denmark that says, yeah, we're going to give you these F-16s and you're going to feel free to use them anywhere, any targetable locations in Russia. That is going to become a pretty sticky situation. Well, could be sticky, but, from another perspective, like, let me get to this in a second. The other half of this is that UK and Germany and France and the US are also talking about to what degree can US and Western weaponry be used to target targets and people and equipment inside Russian territory. Right, because, if you remember, this was supposed to be like a self-defense. This is all self-defense, bro. Okay, so if you're hitting into that territory, into this other country's territory, could you still call it self-defense? I mean, you can make that argument. I'm willing to hear that argument. If you're going to make that argument, though, if you're going to say that Ukraine can strike targets inside Russia proper and call it self-defense, and why? Oh, well, that's where the troops and the weapons and the aggression is coming from. Okay, well then, can Russia strike targets inside Poland or Germany or France or UK or the US? Because that's where the weapons and the aggression is coming from. Is that not a fair argument? But it puts everybody in a fairly sticky fucking situation. So, in that sense, we'll see how it shakes loose. Another piece of analysis I had heard, this is what I was getting to, is that, people were talking about, if this escalates much further, we might be talking about nuclear strikes. And it seems like there's this talk of like, well, if it goes any farther, like it's going to be a little, and then kabam, nuclear strikes. And the analysis I heard was like, well, hold on a second, Mr. Smarty Man, because you're forgetting about Russia's hypersonic weapons. And the idea here is that Russia has got these weapons where they move too fast for the radar to lock onto them, so they basically just sail right through. So far, I don't believe Russia has used weapons of that caliber on, in this Ukraine situation. And what I'm inclined to think, is like we're looking at it in the West, me and you, Western governments, France, Germany, UK, US, so on. We're looking at this thing as though, oh, well, Ukraine is fighting Russia. We're not. I'm inclined to look at this thing, though, and say, what if, from Russia's perspective, what if in their mind they are fighting the West? What if in their mind they're saying we are already at war with the West? The U.S. is sending weapons, sending advisors, sending money, doing all this shit. We're at war with the West. If that's the case, then what we see now, that would be their version of being at war with the West. And is it effective? Because here's the thing, I keep hearing a lot of this talk. I see and I read a lot of talk and a lot of bullshit about, oh, Russia's getting their ass kicked, bro. Russia isn't making any headway. Oh, man. But hear me out on this. You know that movie 300, right? The King Leonidas and the Spartans and this, and you know how this is based on, to whatever degree, more or less, on actual events where 300 Spartan soldiers hold off the Persian army at Thermopylae, right? Where it's like a very narrow, enclosed area, and they just stay right in that area, and because it channelizes these Persians, they can just kind of stay there, and the Persians' numerical advantage is basically non-existent. It doesn't matter. You can have 2 million guys over there. It doesn't matter because there's only, this place is only 300 guys wide or whatever. So whoever you send in here has to go toe-to-toe, man-to-man with these Spartans who are fucking them up. All right, so eventually the Spartans get smoked, but not before they put a big fucking dent in this Persian army. And that's because all of the Persian resources are getting channelized into this very specific situation that suits the Spartans. Now, if you looked at this by this metric, how they're looking at Russia, you would say, well, no, these Spartans are getting fucked up. Look, they're not making any progress. They're just staying in the same spot. Nothing's happening. They must really suck. You hear all this talk. Oh, Spartan. Look at that. They're just there fighting. No progress at all. That's not the fucking point, dude. That was never the fucking point. The point was to keep the situation as one that gives you an advantage and to continue to fight on those terms. If we look at it that way, Russia's doing pretty fucking well. Because we're not sending troops yet, but we're spending money. We're sending equipment, and it's all going in here, and it's going into this one specific area, into this specific situation in which Russia has a huge advantage. You're going to their home field. You're making fucking Ukrainian. They're talking about conscripting 18-year-olds now. So you're making basically Ukrainian non-combatants, people who either are too old to fight or too young to fight or too female to fight. You're making them do the fucking work, and you're expending your resources under those conditions. So if you look at it that way and you say, well, dude, if Russia is at war with the West and this is the approach they're taking, is it effective? In that sense, it's hard to say it's not. It appears to be fucking working, man. I mean, they are holding their own. They're making small advances, but they're pretty much staying in some of the same areas, the same regions, and they're just destroying all this equipment and whoever the fuck they send out there. Why would you do anything different? This is working fine. So in that sense, I mean, I'd have to say, like, dude, the West, dude, we've gotten to this spot where we're voting in just novelty characters. You know, you're voting in these knuckleheads that are like, you don't understand how any of this shit works. And I do feel safe saying that, like, you know, a lot of situations where you would say, you've never been there, dude. How do you know how it fucking works? Been to war, yes. Read plenty about this exact concept, yes. As opposed to what? Raising a fucking crackhead? Or marrying a woman twice my age so I can buddy around with a bunch of Africans without their shirts on and act like a fancy Dan and go to these fucking dinners. And now they've got this fucking thing they had in Switzerland where they're talking about, like, yeah, we're going to go out here and negotiate, you know, a peace settlement for this Ukraine situation. But they didn't invite anybody from Russia, right? So they got the fucking, the Zelensky out there. They got all these other people from all these Western countries, and they're out there and they're going to talk about, like, how Russia decides that they've had enough, right? Russia decides to stop what they're doing and pack up their shit and retreat and go home. And that's what they're going to arrive at. Like, you're all going to go out here and agree, okay, that's enough. I think you're done. I think they've had enough. Okay. All right. Okay. So just go home. Okay. Like, fucking why? So you can pull the same shit again? Like, what fucking page are you on? Like, this is the kind of shit where these motherfuckers are like, you're really in this state of mind where you just imagine, like, you've been living that way for so long that you're so fucking wealthy, so fucking spoiled, and you've enjoyed so much unearned power that you really honestly believe at this point that you just saying something makes it so. Okay, Russia lost. Okay, let's all go home now. And these dudes are like, no, motherfucker, we're going to keep fucking you up. You're going to keep taking a beating. And we're just going to keep fucking sending money, I guess. This is madness. But now I guess France, I want to say it was France, is talking about we're going to kick in another like $600 million or some kind of shit to who knows what, you know, who knows what else they're paying for. What are they ever paying for? Like, what does this cash actually do? I think all this does is buy villas for, you know, Jewish Ukrainians on the Riviera or in France or Spain or wherever they're all hiding out when this whole caper is over with. So anyway, I don't know how that's going to eventually wrap up, man. I mean, I know it is summertime. It's white boy summer. And how this ends up, dude, I'm inclined to think this is going to get wrapped up before winter again. I don't know. Who else can Ukraine get in here, dude? I mean, they're fresh out of friends. And I don't know unless they can get the U.S. or NATO to, like, proper jump in. They're like, yes, we'll help you now. Like, this is fucking stupid. But Putin did come out and he had some things to say. He did have some things to say about this idea of supplying weaponry to Ukraine to be used against targets inside Russia. And he says, well, hey, if this is what they consider a proper way to do business, maybe we start supplying weapons to enemies of the West. And some of the analysis I heard on that was that the Houthis would be one candidate for that, because that would really fuck things up, you know, even more then is already fucked up. I had actually heard a rumor somewhere on it was some podcast, I can't remember which at this point, but that the Eisenhower, the aircraft carrier, had taken a hit from a Houthi missile, and just nothing had been reported on it. But that part of what really raised suspicion was that the commanding officer of the Eisenhower posted a picture of the ship saying, "Look, see, no damage," and then, I mean, what an amateur night mistake to make, because these internet autists, they got on there and they figured out that, like, yeah, dude, this picture is from like 10 months ago or some kind of thing. This is from, back when. Like, you're posting old photos. Like, this is you in senior year. This is bullshit. Right? So that definitely raised some suspicion. And again, if this was like the old double reverse grip, reverse psychology thing or something, I don't know that U.S. military officers have it in them to go that hard with some trick fuckery. But, who knows? Other than that, then, bouncing over to the Israel situation, dude, I mean, this just gets better and better. So apparently the International Criminal Court issued warrants for Bibi and who's that other guy? Gallant, Yoel Gallant, whatever. These characters in Israel, these characters in the Israeli government, and much to the contrary of what the U.S. was saying when they had floated the idea of issuing an arrest warrant for Putin, now the U.S. is voting to sanction the International Criminal Court, right? To say, like, you can't do that. That's Israel's our greatest ally, our amazing and wonderful ally that we just keep dumping money into. And I guess it's already passed the House of Representatives, and it's on its way to the Senate. So I don't know what that'll entail. I mean, how do you sanction an international court? I'm not sure what that would entail. I mean, maybe if I read through all the articles, but who knows? Who gives a shit, I guess, is the right answer. I mean, show me something, man. Show me something good. Fuck. But other than that, I guess Israel has just been hitting out in every direction. They're doing, I mean, I've been reading for a while. They've been doing strikes inside Lebanon for a while, all the way up to the Bekaa Valley. And that, I mean, unless there's two Bekaa Valleys, this place is like halfway, like it's in the middle of the fucking country, right? It's not like just right over the border kind of a thing. You'd think like, hitting inside, Lebanon or something. It's kind of like, you were talking about Vietnam and you're like, operations inside Laos. Like, well, it's just right over the fucking border, just right there, dude. I mean, it's basically border town. Who runs border town? It's just right there. Right, but no, this place is Bekaa. That's like halfway into the country, man. And Israel's got no problem. Like, yeah, dude, we just do whatever we want. So I don't know. I don't know how much longer this weird shit really goes on, because if the U.S. continues to weaken itself, and if at some point they can't afford to pay off, like your Jordans and your Egypts and to some extent your Saudi, to not fuck up Israel, then what happens after that? And I have heard that interesting idea that these Saudis, the House of Saud, is actually of Semitic lineage. I don't know nothing about that. That's a bridge too far for me. I'd seen some things about it, and I don't know. I just don't know. Hey, if you know, pipe up. Somebody say something. Somebody call somebody. But yeah, it's an interesting proposition. So how does that shake out? I don't even know, man. But I honestly think that maybe some of the half-stepping that Israel is doing is kind of a waiting game to wait until Donald Trump gets in there, because if he comes in there as Mr. Popular and is like, I'm going to get rid of these illegals, I'm going to fix these taxes, I'm going to help this Israel, yay, what? Fuck it, okay, go ahead, do whatever, and people are just going to go with it. All very dodgy, all very shitty. What I do know, though, is that I think whichever way this thing goes, we're not going to be living in the same world as before October 7th, because I think these Israelis have no shit played the last round with that victim card. You're going to have a very, very hard time selling anybody on, oh, we're just the nation of victims. We're oppressed and hassled at every turn. I don't think anyone's going to buy that shit anymore. So how that plays out in terms of, hey, can we please have some weapons? Can we have some more money? Can we have this, have that? I think you're going to see increased visibility. All of these Hebrews in Congress, all of these dual citizens, all of these people who think it's somehow okay to walk in there wearing the military uniform of a foreign country, Brian Mast, turd, looking at you, I think you're going to see a lot less tolerance for that kind of shit. But then, never underestimate the stupidity of boomers, man. I think there's a lot of people, with my generation, sure, there's a lot of stupidity, but I don't know that it's as hardwired in there. You say some of this shit to a boomer and you just see this blue screen of death, like, huh? And that's the end of the conversation. So I guess we'll just see how it shakes out. But to wrap it up, man, for the, how can you say, the admonition, the abuse, the you better, the threat of drink some more water. This is your drink some more water moment. So I'll tell you this, man. The dude I was telling you about driving up here, man. I drive up here and I'm going to drop him off in Southern California. If you've never been to Southern California, there's definitely this image, for people that have never been. Well, I'm still here right now as I'm recording this. I'm headed to the airport to get the hell out of here. But there's definitely this image that the entire state is Huntington Beach. And if you're not familiar with that, like one of you are familiar with Huntington Beach, then yeah, I know exactly what you mean. But if you're not, I'll explain it this way. Like Huntington Beach is like an extremely expensive place to live. It's kind of touristy. There's lots of beachish little things to do. Like the beach there, or Santa Monica, like it's exactly what you would imagine. It's very expensive and it's usually pretty crowded. But when you think California, like this is what most people will think of. There's like this nice little beach town. It's very clean. It's maintained. There's a little bit of hippiness. It's warm, though the beaches are nice. All this kind of shit. The beautiful people. They're right there. This is what a lot of people think. When you say California, this like very small piece of it is pretty much what the whole state is like. Nothing could be further from the truth. All right. Like part of the reason I left was that where I lived was basically turning into North Mexico. Like very dangerous, like an otherwise nice / expensive place to live. Like there's a high school kid gets shot a couple blocks from my house on this Craigslist deal gone wrong, which is basically some Mexican dudes showed up and wanted to rob him and he wasn't good with it, so they shot him. All right, that's how this shit goes. There's other features here. One of the things about California that is kind of cool in a way is that you have literally every kind of environment within about an hour, 2 hours tops. So like if you want to be at the beach, or if you want to be in the mountains, or if you want to be, in the suburbs, or if you want to be out in the desert, you can be all those places. You can be all of those places like well within 2 hours. Wherever you are, you just drive within 2 hours, you'll be in a place like that. Right? If that's, whatever you want to do. That is kind of cool. But there's also this very weird thing where there's people that want to be here so bad, or there's a lot of people that want to be here so bad that they will endure the most horrible of abuses just to be like where the weather is good, where you've got access to all these different environments, where there's definitely like that hustle and bustle. Although I don't know that that's as much of the draw as it used to be. That like, I'm moving to LA, bro, and I'm going to get my shit going or whatever, That doesn't seem to go on as much as it used to. But that used to be a thing too. But people here, they will tolerate just insane costs of living. Like the food at the store, for one, is exorbitant. But the housing here is absolutely ludicrous. Like the cost of just staying alive here is insane. Just parking a car is insane. And that's if you can even find a spot to park. All right, so everything, literally everything here is extremely expensive. But there are people who really, really, really want to live here. And there are some people that were like me, that like I was born here, I grew up here, I spent a lot of my career here, And, you're like, well, this is where I'm from, man. This is home. But, then you get a chance to look at other places and you're like, dude, this is abuse, dude. This is not any good at all. But it also, that kind of situation, I guess, where people are willing to take a lower standard of living, just to be in a place like this, it also sort of opens the door, I guess, and normalizes people that are just fucking fine, like happier than a pig in shit, to live that really trashy lifestyle. And there are places here, beating around the bush, like where I just went to drop this dude off. So I'll tell you something, like within our thing, I know we don't like to use the term white trash. Like this is like, we don't talk about other white people this way, right? But I have to be honest here. There's got to be a point where you look at your situation, and if you're being honest with yourself, you might have to say to yourself, like, I could be doing better. I am not the person that I know I should be. And dude, this was what I walked into yesterday, man. Like, I drove this dude out here, all right? So I finished this gig. I go pick up this rental car. I take off driving, and like I put out, dude, like I've been to a lot of different places for training gigs. There's like a lot of places across the country that like, yeah, I know some people in this town, or I know some people over, or some people within our thing. Stop and say what's up, or I know a good bar or a good restaurant over here. Why don't we stop in? I didn't do none of that, man. Like, you want to get to the West Coast, I'm going to get you out to the West Coast. Let's go, bang, zoom, and I'm on it. I'm hustling. So I put this. I honestly, I put a lot of this trip on my dime, man. And I'm driving, busting ass. I get out here, I pull in, and these people come out, dude. And I pull up to this house, and it's like the house that time forgot. And I pull up here, dude, and this ratty-looking woman comes out and sees this dude, and is like, I'm like, who the hell is this? Oh, that's my, I guess, what would this be? His aunt. Like, one of these women is his aunt. And then his sister comes out. And then his grandmother comes out. And these people look like they have not seen a shower since showers were invented. And like this guy's aunt looks like she's been pulled up a dirt road by one leg. And it's just rough, dude. But now I pull up and I don't hear like, hey, Coffee, man, I appreciate you making this drive cross country. Hey, Coffee, man, can I get you a water or something? You good? Hey, Coffee, you want to sit down for 5 minutes before you get back in the car and drive out of here? I don't hear any of that, man. I don't even get eye contact from these people. These cats are legit like just beeline to this dude. And I understand, like, the guy's on hard times, the guy's busted up. But I'm like, a little courtesy would really go a long way. And they're like, yeah, just back up right here to the garage. I'm like, all right, shit. So I back the car up, and they just start hustling stuff. They're like little worker ants, just like, just pulling stuff out of the rental car. And I got to be like, hey, leave that. That's mine. Just stop touching everything. But it becomes kind of apparent to me that, like, I pull up, and like half of what I'm seeing here is like these people are just like walking through the garage and into the house. They're like, just leave it right here. Yeah, we're good right here. And it occurs to me, like, you people, like, you don't even want to risk, like, I might set foot inside your house. Like, I'm going to steal something or something. It's super fucking weird. And I'm looking around and I'm like, dude, you live in the middle of the fucking desert. This place is beat to shit. I mean, you got a little basketball hoop outside that is so old and busted up that the backboard has literally rotted away, and there's just a hoop. And I'm like, this is not what God intended right here. What the hell is going on? I mean, like, overgrown with weeds, like nasty, just a horrible situation. And anything metal was rusted. And I'm like, you live like this, And I'm like, dude, you sure you want to stay here? I mean, are you sure you're good with this? And like, as soon as I got done there, it was like, all right, well, thanks. Like, everything's out of the car. All right, thanks. I mean, actually, not even thanks. I mean, as soon as I got done, it was like, okay, go ahead and take off. And like this girl says, no shit. She's just like, okay, it looks like that's it. And I'm like, yeah, I guess that's it. Okay, I guess I'll take off then. And it was just super weird, man. But it kind of raises this point, like, I had never really considered much the idea, because you know when you hear somebody say like, man, these are white trash motherfuckers, dude. Like you get this picture in your head that maybe somebody's poor, maybe somebody lives in a really old house that's like just out there, very rural, maybe not especially educated. But for my money, that's not what we're talking about here, because I've met people that are, bunny ears, not that educated, and I've met people that are extremely educated that I want to tie to an anchor and throw in the fucking ocean. I've met people that live way, way out rural. I've met people that live, 3 to a room in a city. Honestly, one of the nicest motherfuckers I think that I ever met. Well, fuck, man, I'll tell you 2 stories. Here's a 2 for 1. Some of the nicest people that I ever met. One, I was in Sri Lanka in the late 90s for a gig that was like, no shit, this was pretty comedy, man. Like, we had a newspaper clip that I have since lost. But this newspaper clipping that said, like, U.S. government denies any involvement in training commando personnel in Sri Lanka. And I'm looking at this, and we had like a little memorial, thanks for the help, plaque from the Sri Lankan military. I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool, man. So I saved that. But while I was there, we were staying at this hotel, like we're staying out in like no man's land, dude. Like it's like I was in the Jungle Book, dude. And there's this girl that worked at this hotel, and she was real nice. And as much shit as I talk, not everyone everywhere that you meet is a whore. And we talked to this chick, and she's like, hey, do you want to come watch the cricket match at my parents' house? So it was like 3 or 4 of us. We're like, yeah, man, that sounds all right. So we get in the rental car, and we cruise out to, deepest, darkest Sri Lanka, even, deeper, darker Sri Lanka. And we pull up to this house, man, and it is out there, dude. It's rural, and they don't have windows in the house. I think they only had one door. They weren't like properly expecting visitors, so they didn't have like food sitting out, but they brought out their best stale sugar wafers and made tea and like stood there, like the guy's wife stood there waiting for you to approve, like, oh, it's really good. And I mean, this shit was rough, dude. I mean, like these sugar wafers had, they were there, like Jesus dropped these off. And, the tea was tea. It's Sri Lanka, you're going to get good tea. But, just standing there like, good? And you're like, shit, yeah, it's great. I've never been happier, And we sat there and watched cricket on a little black and white TV. And nicest people you'd ever meet in your life, man. Poor, yes. Not very bright, probably. Nice as fuck, though. So that ain't the kind of people I'm talking about here. Another time, I was in Iraq. And trying to figure out who's who in the zoo in a place like that is next to fucking impossible, because nobody has an ID. Nobody ever lives permanently wherever they're staying. They bounce around from relatives' houses nonstop. So trying to figure out what the hell is going on, who's who in the zoo here. I mean, this is a Herculean effort, But one of the nicest dudes I ever talked to was this dude that had 2 goats and lived in a little broke-ass grass shack. And we're cruising through this village, and this guy on the outskirts of town, like dirty motherfucker, wearing like just a busted ass pair of short pants, is like, hey, and he's like yelling at me in, Iraqi or Arabic, whatever. And I go over there and I'm like, what, man, what's he want? And my interpreter is like, he says that, he's trying to understand why you guys make a deal with the insurgents. And I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? He says, he sees them come in, and then somehow they always know to leave before you guys get here. So he wants to know, like, why you don't get them while they're here. You always wait until they're gone. And I'm like, dude, I don't know who the fuck you're talking about. I'm trying to fucking help you. You give me some kind of information, I'll do everything I can. And he's like, he looks at me for a second, and he's like, come. So he does this little, like when we say, come here, in the West, we do it with like our palm up and like, come here. But these they do it like they put their hand down and they kind of like scoop, and they're telling you, come here. like, all right, dude. So he's like, come here. So I go into his little broke-ass grass shack. And the first thing this dude does is offer me some broke-ass, like, hard-boiled egg and some dried-out rice that he made. Like, and this is all the food this guy has in the whole fucking world. This is all this guy's got. And he's like, here, take some of this. And I'm like, oh, I just ate. I'll only have a little. I'm already full, but I want to not be a dick. So I'm like, I have a bite of this guy's rice. And I'm like, I won't eat your eggs, dude. I'll just have a little rice. I'm good. I ate so much. And this guy starts telling me about, all right, look, man, they'll cut my head off if I tell you this shit. So you got to do your best. But here's what they drive. Here's how they act. Here's how you could recognize them. And I'm like, God damn, man, like this guy, I ain't offering him money. I'm not doing shit for him. And this guy he's gonna straighten me out. He's offering me, good information. He's offering me food. And this guy he literally doesn't have a pot to piss in and does not have a window to throw it out of in the most literal sense. So again, like not talking about poor people, not talking about dirty people, not talking about, people who don't have a college degree, just talking about trashy, shitty fucking people. And this is what I'm getting at, man, that like when I pull up now and I'm doing this guy a solid and I'm doing these people a solid, bringing somebody from your family back to your house so you can help take care of them. I'm not asking you for shit. I'm not expecting shit. But then this is how you look at me, man. Like you look at me like you're fucking better than me. You look at me like I'm a fucking cab driver, like I'm a fucking delivery man. And I'm like, God damn, man. For my money, it's like, you hear the term white supremacist and you hear the term white trash and you hear these terms thrown around without a whole lot of clarity on like, what exactly do you mean here? So like, let's get to it then, man. What exactly are we talking about here? I never say like, I'm a white supremacist because I believe that like I'm better and that I should rule over anybody or any kind of shit like this. And I will never say somebody is white trash because they, you live in the sticks or maybe your house is a little busted up or you don't speak the King's English as beautifully as the next man. But I'll say this, like you should be striving, and this is my abuse for you. You should be striving to be supreme. You should be striving to be better. If you believe in yourself, if you believe in what we as a people are capable of, then you should be striving to be the best you can possibly be. You should believe in your heart that I have the ability to guide everyone around me to a better state of being, and you should be walking it like you're fucking talking it. And what you should not do is be living like a fucking schnook, looking like a dirty motherfucker, like you got pulled up the street backwards, like you haven't taken care of yourself a day in your fucking life since your mother wiped your ass for the first and only time, and still somehow looking at another white man who's doing you a solid and walk right on by like you're some kind of fucking better. That just blew my fucking mind, man. So, it's kind of a chance, I think, for all of us, and me included, because I had to think a lot about this shit last night. Like, what just happened, man? What did I just experience after driving for 4 days and then getting this kind of like dismissive, like, okay, you can go now, kind of a treatment? But I think it's a chance for all of us, and me included, to kind of take stock and consider, like, am I doing the best I can? Am I the best I can? Am I treating other people like me, the best I can? And for people who aren't like me, am I setting an example to say like, hey, look, you want to say that I think I'm better? Yeah, I do. And this right here is why, because of what I am doing, how I am living. I am an example that you can follow. Whether you decide to or not, that's not my problem or my fish to fry. This is totally up to you. But I'm doing what I'm doing because it's the right fucking thing to do. So I think it's a chance for all of us, and that's me and that's you included, man. Walk out there and say to yourself every day that I am not going to be a motherfucker that people look at and go, what the fuck is this guy's deal? If you would be better, actually be better. So with that, I'll leave you to it there, man. And I think that's enough abuse for one week, for a first go around back after an unreasonable length of absence. But until then, man, you can find me on the Telegram. You can find me on the Instagram, well, briefly, anyway. But, and of course, you can find this everywhere low quality content is purveyed. So until next time, man, keep your eyes on the horizon. Keep your neck out of the noose. I have been Coffee, and these are my takes.